everybody, and welcome to the experience. This is Talking Shop, where we talk to people about the books that are coming out this week or very soon. Due to scheduling snafu, probably involving time zones and maybe even, sunspots, we're going to start our interviews today, not with our regular scheduled person, but if they show up, we're going to totally have them on. But instead, we're going to get super hyped and excited for our 6-month anniversary, posted anniversary, by talking with Kyle. Kyle is our executive producer and is responsible for making sure everything behind the scenes goes well and makes everything look real
except
perfect.
for their sunspots.
Except for those sunspots. And then also, my Monday compatriot is JD. He always makes sure that my shows go real well on Mondays. And he's also really fun because he yells at me when I make him buy things when I have great things on my show.
It's true. He does. You do make him buy things. And then he complains to me about he bought more things and how the cat is just going to sit on the things.
Yep.
And
this last time we bought,
do.
He popped on the brand new Scout product comic tags, which I thought was if you're going to spend $6.99 on something, might as well buy something that you don't have to actually, carry around or store.
Right. I mean, and that's kind of I'll be honest, that's JD's MO, right? Like the digital comic part of comics tags, and getting the whole trade kind of fits his personality.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't play it before the show, and I'm going to make him play it right now, like just in the middle of the show. One of the things we're debuting that are new is something that JD worked really hard on, or he would have you to believe he worked very hard on, which are some new bumpers and little teasers and stuff here on the experience. So, hey, click on the thing, dude.
I love them because they all kind of feel like that. There's this like stream of consciousness.
Yeah. Well, and like the description of it on YouTube is, have you ever sent something to the wrong chat? Yeah, us too.
Yeah, us too. And that honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was like, true life. Did you guys just pull that from an actual chat that you were having?
No, we probably have had that chat in the past, but not that I can recall recently. That being said, there are several of them that are going to be debuting that are directly pulled from our text chain. So
I love it. Aww, tummy problems.
Although the tummy problem you have in that that particular commercial is not one of mine, shockingly.
So how do we decide on a Post-it note anniversary? That's a fun story.
Well, so we have to post it registered trademark of 3M Inc.
Mm-hmm.
We are. I don't know if we're going to not hyphenate or we're going to ultra hyphenate. We're going to have to figure that out to make it our own thing. But,
can we actually use it if we just put TM after it?
No, because then we'd have to get permission and pay them.
Okay.
But we're really talking about, this is a 6-month anniversary of when we posted our first videos.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which was, we went live for the first time on the experience January 15th.
We were so nervous because we're trying to do something that hasn't ever been done. So there's nobody to look toward for how did they do it? What did they do right? What did they do wrong? We're the people that people are going to look at later and be like, this is what they did right. And this is what they did wrong.
Right. We are in large part, there are people who have done things that are not dissimilar. Mm-hmm. There are big time YouTubers that are very successful. And so
Absolutely.
what we do on a regular basis is look at what they're doing
Oh yeah.
and look at their methodologies, their tactics, their techniques, and try and pair it to what we are trying to do, which is, and I was just working with our booker Will on coming up with a what is the experience statement,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a really hard thing. Um,
There's Will now.
I will, but we are a startup that is local comic shop driven, but also, and so much of that is sales oriented, letting local comic shops sell their stuff, but
Yeah.
also entertainment focused as well. There's nobody else out there who does sales and entertainment. They do entertainment or they do sales.
Mhm.
Like, that's kind of it, right? So trying to figure out how to do both and trying to be successful at both is a unique line to traverse.
Yeah, and also
So,
to have people wrap their mind around the fact that we are actually trying to push people to local comic shops, and there's no ulterior motive. We really
right,
just want to have the industry succeed and do well and thrive.
right. Then if local comic shop succeeds, then the shows that we have on the air are succeeding. Like,
Yep.
nothing makes me more stressed out or happier than when a show needs to come off the air because their business is booming and they don't have time for us anymore.
Yeah.
Like, Jen has been on those late night calls with me where I'm pulling what's left of my hair out because somebody needs to stop. But I'm also incredibly happy when those stores are like, we weren't sure we were going to survive the pandemic, and so we started working with you guys, and with the new customers from that plus the new customers in the store, we're so busy we can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Best worst problem in the world. But to get back, plus there's not a lot of streaming networks. There's YouTubers, there's Twitch streamers. Not many people are trying to develop a whole site. Yes, it's true. There's not a lot of people who are trying to run it like a broadcast network, like a television station. And so, the analogy I often make is that I'm out in front of everybody cutting down the trees, and you guys are coming behind me paving the road.
Yeah.
Because the road don't go where we're going. But then occasionally somebody will go, well, where we're going, we don't need no roads. And I'm like, okay, it's a good movie, but not really great to my analogy.
No, yeah.
So your original question is, how did we pick the name for our anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
So we posted our first video, or we went live for the first time, January 15th of this year, which was EXP Expo Day 1, Part 1.
Yep.
And we've been live every day. We've had content on the air, pre-recorded or live every day since, including all the holidays.
Yep.
Now, like, if you watched over 4th of July weekend, a lot of that was repeats. But like our fireworks display, totally unique.
Mm-hmm.
So that was unique new content. Even on Saturday, where we run a lot of pre-recorded shows, our dance party on Saturday nights is always live with this schmo.
Yeah.
Brainy Singh, aka Taji Beats. So.
And despite him saying otherwise, Brainy's good people.
Yes.
He has his forward-facing personality is that he's not a good person, but it's a lie.
Yes. I gave away a secret identity. Not cool. No. So anyhow, so your 1-year anniversary is your paper anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to get your significant other paper for your first anniversary. I don't know what kind of gift you get that's paper. Like, unless you get them like the real expensive toilet paper or something. I don't. Oh, paper money, sure, yeah. Give your spouse money, I suppose.
Origami.
Right, origami. I don't know. But we're not there yet. We're only at 6 months. So what's half of paper? Just small paper. So we went with the idea of sticky notes. But because it was the anniversary, it's the anniversary of the day we posted our first thing. We're using the double meaning of the words "post-it."
Yep. Which was brilliant. That was your idea.
I don't remember having the idea. Just throwing that out there.
Well, it wasn't me. It could have been JD.
Right. I feel like it was somebody else said something. I'm like, I got it, post it. But I don't remember having Brainy, if you want half of what you're getting paid now, we can arrange that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But no, it's that's where the name came from. And then as we're prepping for this, like as I'm doing some of my other legwork that I have to do every week that isn't just getting shows on the air and making sure that there are producers for everything and making sure that everything's ready to go, which it's not. I got a thing I got to handle. Just occurred to me, I got a thing I got to handle for the next show. Super fun. So while you're talking to your next guest, I will be busting my butt getting that ready. But our 1000th show, our 1000th broadcast is coming up. And if everything goes well, it will be on Thursday.
Okay.
If nobody cancels, nobody does anything, it will be on Thursday.
Oh, heck, we'll make it happen. If someone cancels, then we'll just pop on and do nonsense. I'll play chess live or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
As everyone yells at me, no, not that move. I'm fun to play chess because I have no actual plan. I'm a reactionary player, so there's no way you can plan anything with me because I do dumb moves every single move.
Yeah, I don't know how to play chess.
That's what I just do.
I'm just like, can this horsey make this checkers move? And people who know how to play chess just go, no. And I go, well, then I give up. And it's usually the computer. So
Brainy needs to have a rider to his contract that includes lightsaber churros, but not just the promise of them, but the actual delivery of.
Can't do it.
Wow.
Sorry. So normally while you're doing this, I'm listening and doing executive producery things in the background. Kevin, who was supposed to be your interview, just emailed. So I'm responding to him, trying to get, telling him to come on.
Brainy, is it specific churros? Just making sure. Do I have to make them in a lightsaber churros? You better watch out. I'll have them delivered to your work. I'll have to figure out when you're there.
So no. The problem is, Brainy, that they didn't have that game where they were supposed to have the lightsaber churros. It got rained out. Like, it's not like I could get them. They just don't exist now. Anyhow. But we have some new shows that we're getting ready to debut that we're working on. Jen and I have been working on from some people out there in the industry like Zia Comics. One of your favorite comic book men. Well, two of your favorite comic book men.
Yeah.
One of them is a comic book man, and the other one is a comic book Ming. So, that's an interesting development that's coming. But yeah, our the whole month of August. So that's something.
Oh yeah. I'm excited for all the stuff that's coming up. It turns out that in order to run this much stuff and prepare as much stuff as it takes to be live, even just 6 hours a day, is a huge amount of people. So we're adding people as we can. We got to find people with the skill sets we need.
Herding cats is my main job description is herd cats. Just show up and try and get people to go where they need to go. It's like I got a text from you where your links were for today, but I had sent them to Slack, but you hadn't seen them in Slack, and then JD sent them to you, and it's like, okay, the cats are running the asylum now.
We got it. JD and I got this.
Well, but it's, you know what I mean? It's like at some point the inmates have taken over the asylum, and I'm just here to make sure it doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah.
And that's good, right? Like that's the kind of the goal, is to have this thing eventually be autonomous enough that I can spend my whole day editing and making new reality shows and meeting with muckety mucks from places about muckety muck things. I don't know.
You actually have, how many hours do you think recorded for the reality show? It just has to be cut.
We have many, many hours.
Mm-hmm.
Less than you'd think, because there were a number of hours that wound up being unusable. Hey, Kevin's here.
Kevin!
I can leave. Hi, Kevin.
I am so sorry.
No, that's
cool. Hey, we'll email in a little bit after you're done, and I got another opportunity for you to come on later this week. Kind of fill some time too. So.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, are we good to do it now? Because I would totally. I understand if you say go away. We're already talking. It's going good. We went. Yeah. All right. We went to Orlando this weekend, so we drove back. I got in at 4, and we've been doing unpacking and walking the dog, and then I leave my phone here for my daughter to call, and then I looked down and there was a text message, and I was like, "Oh no." So I'm so sorry.
That's okay. All right, so keep me so that I'm saying the right thing. Are you currently kickstarting right now?
We have a Kickstarter running right now, which would be Tart 13, which would be the first chapter of season 3. Okay. So in September, Devils and Demagogues is coming out, which is chapters 11 and 12. And that'll be out at your shop in September. And then we'll do the trade paperback. And now we're trying to get the books ready for season 3. So that's what we're kickstarting now, is the Tart 13, which would go in season 3. We need to make sure that you have books to put out.
So this is season which? Just 1?
Season 1. Yes, ma'am.
And then?
That is a hardcover which has issues 1, 2, and 3, which we printed before we got with Scout Comics.
Oh,
and so, yes, that's a special thing that has the same issue. It's got the same stories as the first 3 issues of the Tart trade paperback that you have behind you, but 3 issues isn't enough for Diamond distribution, so we took the first 7 and put them, kind of crammed them into one season so that you guys could sell them in your store.
And this one's cool because it's like a coffee table book version of it. Like, you should leave this out for people to accidentally get addicted to comic books at your house.
Our front room is all the comics I've given my daughter, so we're doing our best to seed that any which way we can.
So when is your next set of books coming through Scout?
The next set of books coming from Scout will be out in September, and that's Devils and Demagogues, and that has Tart bringing the 2 newest recruits out on one last training mission. They're actually sent to assassinate Hitler, because we feel like if you're going to do time travel, you got to answer the question, do you kill either baby or adult Hitler? And we answer it in our story. But immediately after that answer is given, they're thrown into the biggest fight they've ever been to against the Crown Prince of Hell.
Oh, snap. So for
Yeah, we're
anybody that
excited.
maybe for Tart, this is trade 1, story 1. All you need to know is that the main character appears to be just a regular sweet young lady, but she's on the hunt for what she calls trenches. And you're like, what the heck? What? I don't get it. So she shows up at like a diner, and there are 3 guys sitting there in trench coats. So you're like, oh, okay, I get it, trenches. But what she asks them to do then makes you go, okay, Kevin clearly has got a unique story that no one has ever told, as she kind of like bullies them and bribes them with actual children's teeth from under their pillow to allow her to jump through, when they open up their trench coats, jump through their body and use that as a way to travel in time and space. It's not a TARDIS, it's a trench coat. Why not?
It's so good.
And our Kevin is the Frozen.
I'm sorry. My room, I'm going to be closer. I was panicking, so I thought I could do it here, and I can't.
It's okay. It is fun to have you frozen, though. Have you seen those ads on Facebook where it's like, get better Wi-Fi, and it has like a pixelated face? It's exactly the way it looks right now, which is fun.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Yes. I'm going to work with Kevin. We're going to have Kevin back on later in the week. Now he's back, but we're going to give him some time later in the week to come back on and talk more about Tart. Mm-hmm. Either with Miss Jen or on one of our other shows. Just because, it's a good book. It's a great book, and we want to have more time with him, and scheduling communications and all kinds of stuff was a headache, and we're almost out of time. So, Kevin, if you're looking for a text or an email from me, here a little bit later.
Yeah, but before you go, Kevin, I have to ask you about one thing that I saw on your Facebook page. That
traveling.
Your first word is pizza.
And wasn't paying.
Oh, goodness. It's glitched out for us again. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to absolutely have Kevin back so that we can talk in depth about Tart and the whole series and pizza and dealing cards, because I can't not get to the bottom of all of those things you put up there. It's almost like watching a trailer in which you're like, well, now I have to watch the movie. So we got to have Kevin back. Thanks, Kevin, for joining in with us. We'll have you back. I'm sure this week we'll fit it back in so we can actually have a good interview.
Whenever it works for you, again, totally cool. I apologize.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break and come right back with Victoria Douglas. Don't miss it. You are watching Minute to Skim It on The Experience, so hello. All right, we've got lots of books to review for you guys today. And Hannah just basically showed up just the number ones and showed them to me, and I was like, oh, we have
just for the indies.
Just for the indies, yeah. I was like, we have got a lot to do.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Shop on the Experience. Please forgive us our technical difficulties that we had just a second ago with Kevin Joseph. Don't worry, we're going to get back with him probably on Thursday and have a long-form interview, so you won't miss anything. Right now, we're going to talk to somebody I'm excited about. Their book comes out next week, so don't get all crazy and worry about getting it added to your pull box for this week. But definitely call your local comic shop as soon as you hear everything about this book, because you're going to need it. From Behemouth Studios, Victoria Douglas.
Hello, hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I have to say, you are the most early on-time person I have had to interview, and I am very thankful, because then I don't stress out.
Yep. You know, when stuff comes up or you can't get on or you don't have the right link, you gotta be there. Make things easy.
Do you find yourself being in college? I had a Type A personality roommate, which meant that they were always everywhere a half an hour early, and my personality was something like, I will get there for sure, but I hope it's on the right day. Which personality is more aligned with yours?
I try to show up early, but I don't think it's due to a Type A personality. I think I just am anxious about not getting there. Whether it was like going to a friend's house or going to a party or whatever it was growing up. When it came to schoolwork, I was always procrastinating, which is a large reason why I ended up studying art in college. It's because it was the thing I could do and pay attention to and stay engaged with. So I don't know, maybe it's a learned trait as well. The older I get, the more I'm like trying to connect the dots and figure out where I need to be. So anyways, it's great to be here. This is exciting.
I'm excited so much to read the book. I know that so many people send out like PDFs and things ahead of time, and I'm one of those weird reviewers. It's like, I want the physical book in my hand a little bit. It's because as I get older, I have a problem with keeping them all separated in my brain if it's been more than a couple days.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm talking about the actual book we're talking about. So I'm excited to have a physical copy, which will be next Tuesday. I'll be reading. So excited.
For sure. And I mean, I'm super excited as well to finally see it in print. I hope readers can be as excited as I am,
So this is definitely not your first comic art, but is it your first title that is being published for you?
Yes, more or less. It's definitely the biggest project I've worked on. Like I have a few published anthology credits and like shared credits, things like that, but nothing working on like a serialized anything or a longer term comic. So this is definitely a big break, I haven't been out of school for too long, so it's just exciting to have my comic out in the world and in the hands of people who are just stoked to read it. It's been great to see the reception so far, even like the comic's not even out yet, and people are super excited. And I'm definitely sharing in that. It's Cinnamon has been a passion project from day one.
Was it inspired by a pet that you've had, or you just
Yes. So Cinnamon was my thesis comic senior year in college, and I had just gotten my first cat, like maybe a month or two before I had to decide what I was going to like put my time and effort into.
Mhm.
And she was a bit of a terror as a kitten, and so it felt like if I was going to do anything, I had to do something about her. And it just spiraled so far from there. So it is based on our cat Ripley. Kind of
Is
pulling.
it an Aliens reference?
Yes.
I love you.
Yeah. Well, we were gonna name her Jonesy, but it just felt like so on the nose. And Ripley just felt so good. It was that or like broccoli. I think that was the other like contender, but no, we got Ripley about 2 years ago, and then we now have another cat named Mona that we got last year right before everything shut down.
So did they get along, or did you have like a long adjustment period?
They did not get along at all. Ripley was just scared. She'd never really been around a whole lot of cats. And so we learned all about keeping them away from each other and unsuccessfully keeping them away from each other. Just kind of generally watching them go back and forth and fight with each other. It was what it was, and they're not like buddy super friends right now, but they tolerate each other. They don't like contact, so don't get too close, but they coexist. And that's about all we can ask for sometimes. But
So are they themselves friendly with you, or
big time, yeah.
just not with each other? Okay.
Yeah, just not with each other. It's funny because Ripley is super warmed up to me, but Mona is way more warmed up to my wife, and so we kind of split custody of the kids a little. So
do they have rooms that they hang like? Do they like have separated themselves enough where they like have favorite rooms and they just that's their space?
Yeah, I mean, like they'll chill with each other. Like typically they'll sleep with us.
Mm-hmm.
They'll both hop on the bed and chill out with us for the night. And so like they just don't want to be like within hitting distance of each other. They like to like bop each other in the face.
Oh yeah.
So like they share just about everything. They don't even have like separate food bowls, or like there's 2 food bowls, but they both eat out of both of them.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean there are little babies. We're super excited. It's made the quarantine bearable, but
Will is watching and seems like a huge fan. Say that they're looking very much to it. Oh, it reminds you of Dragon Ball Z meets Mad Max.
Honestly, not a bad comparison. I think Cinnamon's an amalgamation of all the things that I enjoy myself, but like very cherry picked. So there's the little like Super Saiyan moments and the dystopian cityscape, and just a lot of little bits of flavor from all these little things. So yeah, that's more or less an apt description.
Oh yeah. Let's see. This old helmet made a really awesome reference. Small dogs are just cats, and cats are useless. What? Wrong. You lose. I think it's a quote. And JD says, "What sort of college degree does one pursue in order to assemble a thesis comic?" That's a good question.
That is a good question. So my actual degree is in illustration. But that's only because I transferred in a little late. So at the Columbus College of Art and Design, they have a comics and sequential art program. where you study comics history, comics practice, alongside kind of general art and production. But it's one of very few undergrads for like comics specifically. And so I transferred in about halfway through, and ended up taking mostly comic classes and kind of integrating it into that program kind of by side. But that was the senior capstone that I did. It was 2 semesters, so a year's worth of school, developing and producing the first issue of a perspective comic, of something that could be expanded to a series, but wasn't necessarily you didn't need to pitch it to anyone. You didn't need to intend to make more. You just had to make it as if you could, kind of a thing.
Have you thought? I mean, I know you just said you finished, but are you thinking about doing master's work?
Actually, yeah, I applied and was accepted to the comics program at CCA. Out in San Francisco.
Congrats.
Well, I got accepted last year, right before everything shut down.
Yeah, of course, right?
So I deferred, and it was amicable, but it really put a lot of plans on hold. And honestly, I feel like it was the right move, because I fell into everything with Cinnamon so quickly. I would love to go back. I was a perpetual full-time student, and I loved being in academia. But I'm just excited to be making the comics I want to make right now, and kind of getting my feet wet, getting some real world experience. It's something that school can't always prepare you for.
True.
You get real good at doing assignments and turning things in for the validation of your professors, but
Do you remember what your first comics exposure was? Do you grow up in a comics family?
A little bit. I wasn't necessarily allowed to read a whole lot of comics growing up, or it was very locked down, and my parents had to kind of vet things. So I did a lot of sneaking of online scanlations of manga, and just trying to sneak whatever I could. Kind of later into high school, I started picking up more indie graphic novels from Half Price Books and secondhand shops, and wow, this is super cool. I read Nate Powell's Swallow Me Whole in high school, and it was wait, this isn't Spider-Man at all. It was fabulous. It just totally changed my paradigm. But it wasn't really it didn't feel like something I could touch as an artist. It felt like something that comic artists did, and I was just a general illustration student. And so I owe a lot to transferring to CCAD, because they kept pestering me, and they kept saying, hey, you can try comics, you could probably do that. And it took a while to warm up to it, but man, college was eye-opening. Being exposed to local comic book shops and local comic shows and small press conventions, and just seeing comics as something that's produced and produced by people who are passionate about these stories, really felt accessible. So
what before that college kind of opened your mind to comic books as a career? What career did you have in mind?
I spent a long time doing general editorial illustration, and web development, and just kind of this general like branding package, where I could do the front end development and I could do your branding solution. So it's kind of this multifaceted graphic design, web front end, illustration as needed. So like I wasn't doing what I loved, or even something that I necessarily enjoyed. But it was very focused on like, okay, well, what does it mean to make money in art? And it felt like my first answer was not the one that I wanted. And so I ran with it for a while. And then I transferred to CCAD in 2018, and it was kind of a new city, new school, fresh slate. What is it that I actually want? Because I'm deeply unhappy making illustrations for lawnmowers and dentists and soul-sucking corporate culture.
What's so funny is that all of those soul-sucking corporate folks are so thankful to have creative people to, because they, so they might not be able to think of anything that's super creative to bring people to their brand. So I look at it and think to myself, you're amazing, because there's so much that I could never do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very necessary job. I just think I went into it with the wrong reason or the wrong justification for putting my dreams on hold, or for really like pursuing something that I had passion for. Comics in particular, I just like I was really hesitant to want to draw the same character over and over and over again. I'm like, I don't want to draw the main character 100 times per issue. But as I got further into school, I took a few animation courses and realized that, like, wait, I drew this character 1,000 times and really enjoyed it. I should probably revisit this idea of comics. And so comics was all the things that I loved about illustration and all the things that I loved about animation, where like I could tell a story and actually like flesh out a narrative. Because, you know, illustration is telling a story in one picture, but like, you know, I can string those together. That's so exciting. I can have them say things, because that's so weird. You don't see illustrations with comic dialogue, unless it's like an advertisement and it's like very specific.
Sure,
So,
or like a newspaper editorial cartoon.
Yeah. So like, I think I took a really roundabout way of answering all my own questions about what comics mean and what they can be. And so like, I think I had this personal renaissance like 3 or 4 years ago of like, okay, you know, why did I stop reading comics? Why am I not making comics when that's something that I clearly enjoy? And so like, I mean, studying it in school helped a lot. It helped pad out a lot of that knowledge, and CCAD was phenomenal. If you have any interest in academic study of comics, then I highly recommend CCAD.
What was the thing you learned while studying there that what just set something that you thought you knew about comics on its head, that completely is the opposite of what people think?
I don't know if it's necessarily the opposite of what other people think, but it was definitely the opposite of what I thought. Is just the nature of producing a comic. I had a very clear experience going to Cartoon Crossroads in Columbus. It's a small press comics convention. And it just felt like an artist alley or a dealer's room at any other convention, but it was all small press comics and indie creators with their new books for the year, their new zines or whatever it is that they were making. And it was just so, I don't know, authentic feels kind of sappy, but it was whatever people decided to make, and they put it out for people to enjoy. And it had worth because it was sitting on that table for sale. Yep. And it was wild stuff. Zines drawn in crayon, and like there's one, I'm trying to remember, it was like in an envelope, and to read the zine you had to like tear open the envelope, and so you had to like ruin part of this thing to experience it.
Chaos.
And like it just felt like there was something there that I hadn't tapped into. There was some part of this creator creation like relationship that I felt like it didn't have to be like Netflix or Marvel or DC or like these big hitters in any sort of media. And so I think taking that and applying it to like a larger release on the direct market, like Cinnamon has like kind of coalesced with that idea of small press indie comics and like, I don't know, like large press indie comics. Because I mean, Behemouth's been amazing to work with.
It's growing like crazy. I don't know if it's going to be small press for long.
I know it's been absolutely insane to watch because they had like 3 comics out when I signed with them. And it was like, okay, you know, we're going to throw my hat in the ring with these guys. Because honestly, like the stuff that they're putting out is not just like top quality, but it's exactly the kind of stuff that I was interested in making. Just like avant-garde action comics.
Absolutely.
And that really got me going. And it felt like, okay, this is a cool home for Cinnamon. I'm super down for this.
So explain to me what the difference is between Behemoth proper and Happy Tank as the place where you landed.
Yes. So Happy Tank is the brainchild of Kevin Rodatelli and Rob Cannon. And they are both just incredible, talented dudes who are just like super down for this. And their idea was to make this imprint full of comics that are like kind of Adult Swim-esque or like the late night, irreverent, like just off the wall stuff. And the minute they started saying that, it was like, okay, you know, this is music to my ears because I can pull out the stops and just make the weird stuff that I want to make. And they pretty much gave me the equivalent of that small press con table to say, okay, you know, they believed in the vision of Cinnamon to say this is the kind of action comic that we want because it's just so weird. And I think that kind of sums it up is they're just kind of they're mining a lot of the comic adaptions and comic re-releases from like when you have MFKZ coming to the States. So it's been great to see that side of things kind of grow. And so it's just kind of a specific subset of Behemoth, where Kevin knows exactly what kind of projects he wants to greenlight and exactly what kind of flavor he wants from these comics.
Oh man, JD has asked a really deep question here. It says, are creators more likely to make more money per book through an indie publisher like Behemoth or printing publishing a book solo via Kickstarter? That's complex.
You know, I am not super qualified to speak on that because I have not kickstarted a book. And like, I mean, I feel like both routes are valid. Especially more and more as Behemoth is quickly gaining ground and selling crazy volume.
Yep.
It's just been crazy to watch expectations surpassed.
I would say certainly with Behemoth, you have probably a bigger reach sooner than you might have through a self-done Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tell you what, like the only previous book I put out myself, I self-published. I didn't Kickstart it. I just funded a small run myself, and I was happy to sell like 100 copies of it, and like that felt successful at the time a few years ago, and so like it is dwarfing those numbers to an absurd degree. Cinnamon sold way better than any of us not expected, but it was like, okay, first time creator, first time series. You know, like I'm not a household name by any means. So I think there's benefits to both sides. But I'm not really like the most qualified to talk specific numbers or like profit margins. I just draw the dang thing.
What was the name of the book that you sold your 100 copies of?
Oh, it was called Deviled Egg Dominoes. And
Deviled
it was
Egg Dominoes.
yeah.
Awesome.
It was more like a collected anthology of all the comics that I made in school. And it was just kind of my letting go of all my academic comics. So there's a lot of like 3-page, 5-page, 8-page short stories and just off the wall stuff. So
Is that even something that exists that people could hunt down, or is that like the 100 run is done and good luck finding one, y'all?
No, I still have a fair amount of stock, but at the beginning of the quarantine, like I sold at my last convention right before March and kind of the shutdown period, and it was so hard to deal with fulfillment that I just kind of took things down online, and I haven't sold in any shows since. So like, I mean, if you're ever in the Midwest, like catch me at comic shows and definitely be able to pick up a copy, but I should be getting it back online soon.
When you put it online, where's the right place for people to follow you or to find a way to communicate with you?
Yeah,
What
so
you're doing?
my weird little corner of the internet is blackbit.world.
Oh, nice.
It's lots of disparate blog posts and just kind of my general, like, here's where I am. But the best place to like continuously follow is Instagram. And that's blackbit.exe.
Why Blackbit? I've got to know.
It just sounded cool.
It does sound cool. It makes me think of the bit from Tron.
Yes. I mean, it's got a bit of sci-fi flavor to it, and I think that's something that I'm very interested in. Science fiction as a whole, I think, has a lot of power to like illuminate human experience and say, well, you know, how do humans react if their eyeballs are carrots? And like, I don't know, like the sky's the limit, and just saying, okay, well, we're going to introduce this foreign thing and then tell a story about it. So I think you get glimpses of that in Cinnamon. It's really like an unchained action comic, but there's a little bit going on behind the scenes that I'm really excited to let peek through. Especially going in, I mean, issue 1 comes out in literally days, and I'm so excited. And then issues 2 and 3 will be following after that. And that's where it's at right now. But we're going full steam ahead.
All right, everybody. It looks like August the 5th is a release date for Cinnamon. So you've got exactly 1 week-ish to get with your local comic shop and make sure it's on your pull list. Because if the past has been any indication about what Behemouth books do, they will sell out in the first week, and then you'll have to like hunt and peck to try to find them. So don't miss out. Thank you so much, Victoria, for spending time with us. I wish you all the luck in the world in having this sell out so you can make all the books you've ever desired about anything, including Carrots for Eyes, people.
I am going to do that.
Thank
you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. Don't go away, everybody. Coming up after this is my crazy show, Mishmash, and we're going to do some crazy mish and moshing.
I thought that's the 7th.